everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tanner Reviews the World. Well, I've returned from Italy, and on my return video, I really wanted to tackle something that was a really big problem in the cinema industry, and still is to this day. And that, of course, would be the video game to movie adaptations. Now, there are plenty, and I mean plenty, of atrocious pieces of shit out there, but I thought that I would make this personal. I would tackle one that was a real big pain in the ass for me. A real, just big, steaming pile of dog shit. And I thought that what better way to really kick the show off again than by tackling one of my favorite video games and one of my most hated movies, none other than Doom.
But before we get started, a little backstory is in order. For those of you who did not grow up knowing the epicness that was Doom, Doom is a PC game created in the early 90s and is widely considered to be one of, if not the, most influential game in video game history. The storyline and gameplay were pretty basic. You as the player took on the persona of the sole surviving man on a marine base on Mars, and you had to fight your way through a horde of undead and demon spawn coming straight out of hell itself in order to get back to Earth. The gameplay was your simple, shoot 'em up, get to the next level type of game. The storyline and gameplay may have been simplistic, but where Doom will go down in gaming history is their innovative gaming system now dubbed the Doom Engine. The Doom Engine was a new type of system that revolutionized the first-person perspective gameplay, created realistic 3D graphics, and set the standard for how games were created in the future. All you kids who love your Call of Duty so much, that game would not even be in existence if it was not for Doom.
Doom revolutionized gaming, not only for its effects, but the legacy that it left behind. So, needless to say that in the early to mid-2000s, whenever Hollywood was really on the drive to actually create these video game to movie adaptations, Doom was naturally on the top of the list. And with such a simple premise, how could this possibly go wrong?
We'll add in phoned-in storyline that completely fucks continuity of the game, a director who would later go on to direct the box office nightmare that was Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, the shit acting put forth by the entire ensemble, and to top all of it off, some of the shittiest visuals and lighting in movie history, and you have a shitstorm of god-awfulness that is this movie.
And with that being said, let's dive balls deep into Doom.
The only area of this movie that really had any potential came very late in third act. I won't get into a long plot detail on this, so I want to keep this short, but the main character Reaper becomes a superhuman and goes on this rampage killing all the monsters in his path in the first-person perspective. Even though the lighting during this scene is appalling, the nod to the original gameplay was actually a really nice touch that I did enjoy.
But you see, it's really kind of sad whenever the best part of your movie can easily be satisfied by just watching somebody actually play the game.
This may be a weak point, but it is a point that they at least got something kind of right, and I can't fault them for it. So, let's keep moving on. The writing in this is just god-awful. There is no attempt for a storyline, there is no attempt for character development, and almost every line is just bluntly forced in there.
Every line in this movie just feels forced. No speech lacks any substance, there's no fluid motion. It's just wooden dialogue after wooden dialogue until you actually get to the action scenes. It just fits that formula. Wooden dialogue, action scene. Wooden dialogue, action scene. There's nothing to it.
You don't look like a Mac.
Katsuhiko Kumanosuke Takahashi.
So, Mac.
A failed attempt to establish character development in a guy who's just going to die 10 minutes later.
Console indicates nothing's come in or out for 26 hours.
Now, did I mention that's his only line in this movie?
Hello, John.
Hello, Samantha.
Hello, Samantha. Tell me you didn't let a fine-looking piece of ass like that get away from you, Reaper.
She's my sister.
A bluntly forced plot point establishing that they are actually siblings and not love interests.
Going down to El Honto, I'm gonna lock myself in a motel room with a bottle of tequila and 3 she-boys. tequila, and 3 she-boys.
Alright, just...
Half a clue? You?
I've got 1 round.
And shamelessly attempting to force in a catchphrase.
Just imagine an entire movie like that, with some of the worst dialogue imaginable. And then whenever you combine it with what's really the worst thing about this movie, it just takes away any likability from it whatsoever. Alright, here's the thing. Shitty scripts come and go, but even the most decent of actors can actually take shitty lines and make them sound good, and even the best actors can make shitty lines sound like absolute gold. But whenever you mix a shitty script with some of the shittiest acting imaginable, then you just get the perfect shitstorm.
The acting in this movie is just horrendous from every single person involved. The only person who puts forth any redeemable performance is Al Weaver, who plays the kid character.
And Al Weaver, you better be giving some major credit for actually remembering that you exist.
He actually does manage to squeeze out a decent performance as a rookie kid that is forced into a life-threatening situation. And when he stands up to the Rock character, there was genuine emotion felt from that performance.
But now, let's look at the rest of this just fantastic cast.
Irrelevant, Homeless Man's LL Cool J,
Tequila, and 3 she-boys.
Hey, I warned you once, movie, you're on thin ice.
irrelevant,
But now that we've looked at the supporting cast, let's really take a look at the big 3. The 3 main characters that just made this movie the gem that it is today. I am talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Carl Urban, and Rosamund Pike. And in the spirit of chivalry, the ladies always go first.
Out of the 3, this is the one that annoys me the most, because Rosamund Pike can act. She is not your run-of-the-mill model being in a horror movie that is just there because she has big jugs and can speak the English language at an almost 4th grade level. Pike has been in some great movies and done some great work. Die Another Day and Pride and Prejudice, just to name a few. The woman can act.
But not in this one.
She may not be one of those model bimbos, but she certainly does her best rendition of one during this movie. She gives absolutely no expression besides deer in headlights stare, mild anger, and just shocked bewilderment.
I find this character really disappointing because she wasn't your standard love interest in a horror movie. She was actually a sibling. But the way they wrote it, they might as well have just made it an incestuous love relationship because she pretty much plays the same character. She's that independent damsel in distress, just without the possibility of sex at the end. But overall, Rosamund Pike's performance is disappointing. For our other 2 co-stars, however, not so much. And now, let's just smell what The Rock is cooking.
This came out during the height of The Rock's acting career, and I do use that term loosely. The Scorpion King, Walking Tall, and The Rundown had all come out at this point. By the time Doom was actually slated to hit theaters, The Rock was actually looking pretty good.
And to be honest, he was doing a decent job. I mean, compared to the other wrestlers that try to turn actors. Given the choice between the death penalty and watching The Condemned or The Marine, I'd take sweet death before watching any of this shit that John Cena or Steve Austin tried to put out. Fuck, does that mean I actually have to review those movies now?
The problem is that The Rock is just not that great of an actor, plain and simple. He plays the exact same character he played in The Rundown and Walking Tall. The only difference is his hard-ass nature is frowned upon in this movie where it is looked up to in the others. There were just so many other actors that could have done so much with this role, but The Rock just plays it so straight, and his Rock Dwayne Johnson attitude just waters down any character development that this Sarge character could have had.
Okay, The Rock is not a fantastic actor, but he is an entertainer. After all, that's what professional wrestlers are supposed to do. They're supposed to entertain, and whenever you translate that to a movie, it can work. But there are some people that just should never be in front of a camera, and I can't think of a better person than Carl Urban.
While The Rock and Rosamund Pike have redeemable qualities and have had some success with other movies, Carl Urban has been shit in just about everything I've ever seen him in.
And yes, his performance in The Lord of the Rings was shit too.
His entire performance can be summed up with this.
So, when we look at all aspects of this film, how does it really hold up? It doesn't.
Doom will have the misfortune of being just another shitty video game adaptation to hit the big screen. The acting is shit, the writing is lazy, the lighting is atrocious, and even though it tried to put aspects of the game into the movie, it just didn't work out, and it left Doom players with a rather sour taste in our mouths. Is it one of the worst? No, but it's by far nowhere near one of the best.
So, on my scale of 1 to 5, 1 being absolute shit, 5 being fantastic, I'm giving it a 1.5. It is not the worst movie that I've ever seen, but it's damn close, and it really isn't worth your time to watch it. So, that's it for me. It's good to be back, and I look forward to putting out some more videos for you guys. Until next time, see you later.